I'm having a bit of a weird week where like I'm trying to rest as much as possible because I've pretty much been flat out since the beginning of lockdown. So it's been however many months that is now. I don't even know. Call it 5 or 6. I actually don't know. It's
A
mad.
long time.
A long time, right? I've been flat out because I started like doing more coaching full time. I put more energy into the podcast. I've wrote and released a book, and I've put all of these things out, and I've got to a point where the last like couple of weekends I've just been like exhausted, like energetically,
Mm.
mentally. And I said to myself at the start of this week, right, I'm going to give myself the week off, obviously knowing that I had things like this recording to do and like some coaching sessions and stuff. But can I do the minimal this week to try and protect my energy and treat it like a holiday within a working week? So I've been like just lounging about, watching TV and just trying to do things that I wouldn't normally do in like a working week. So how do you fit rest in, especially because with running as well, I can imagine that's only like as important as the runs itself.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's something that people forget when they start a new training plan. They always think that more is better. And it's something that I learned the hard way. More is not necessarily better. More is often a lot worse. And I've had my fair share of injuries. I've also struggled with overtraining in the past, and rest is so important. And interestingly, learning about rest in the context of exercise and training has allowed me to apply that to everyday life as well, and work and burnout. Productivity relies on rest as well. Productivity, and especially creativity. Your brain cannot be creative if it is exhausted and overworked. And I was always wondering why, for example, when I was writing blog posts, I could do my best blog posts and come up with new ideas when I'm on holiday. And I'm always like, why can't I think of these things when I'm not on holiday? Why is my brain only coming up with them now when I don't want to be writing them? And of course, it's because I'm taking time out and because I'm not trying to be creative or trying to be productive. And it's a horrible irony that you probably most want to run when you're well rested, but you're not supposed to be running because you're resting, and you can be productive and creative when you're trying to take some time off. It's an irony, but the irony is because rest is so important for both of those things, both training and productivity. And it's a thing that I have shared quite a lot recently, is that rest is productive. And with our culture today, I think especially as freelancers,
Mm.
it's easy to think that you can just work the whole time because no one is setting your work hours, and no one is telling you that you can go home now and then that's it. You leave your work at the office. Having worked a desk job, that is kind of how it is for the most part for most people. But with freelance life, you can literally work until you die, day in, day out, weekends, evenings, mornings, whatever it is, you can just work continuously, and the work will never be finished. So learning how to take rest is so important. And I have finally got there, like I say, I think through learning about rest in training, and then I can apply those sorts of rules that I set myself also for my work and creativity and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I guess do you have the same thing? So I always find you were saying how when you're on holiday you come up with like the best ideas.
Yeah.
Like, do you find that when you run as well? Because I find like when I'm
Yes.
not at my laptop, like I might be in the shower, or when we could or would go to gyms, for example, I'd always have like the best ideas, and you're sort of like, I've got nowhere to write this down now, and you just have to like try and hang on to it.
Yeah. It's the worst. Or like just before I go to sleep, and I'm sure this will be relatable for a lot of your listeners, either just before you go to sleep or when you're out on a walk or out on a run, you suddenly think of all these ideas and you're like, I need to get back and I need to write that down. And then as soon as you get back, you're like, what was that? What was that amazing life-changing
Yeah.
idea that I just thought about? And it's like, oh, well, I'm never going to remember that again. And weirdly, this is actually kind of quite inception-y. I was out on a run the other day listening to Run Pod
Hmm.
and it had Paula Radcliffe on it. And literally, I think she's called Jenny Falconer and Paula Radcliffe were literally discussing that. And then shortly after that moment, I had the best idea, obviously, in the entire world. And I was literally thinking, well, now that they've said that I'm going to forget it, I will remember it because I've been reminded that I forget things. So I'm definitely going to remember it. And I was only like 2 kilometers from home. And of course, by the time I got back, I totally forgot. So either I'm going to start voice recording while I'm
Yeah.
out on runs, and my poor boyfriend's going to start receiving some very random out of breath voice recordings, or I'm going to have to carry some sort of notebook take a pause on my run and start writing things down.
Yeah, or start shouting at Siri halfway through a run. Siri, remind me
Yeah.
to.